Who recalls Muhammad Ali in his prime? Yes. Come on, who's a fan? I'm a great fan. Muhammad Ali. What do we remember Muhammad Ali for then? What's the greatest thing?
I'm the greatest.
Rumble in the Jungle, the greatest. What a guy, what a boxer. Yeah. What a fantastic man. But Ali is best remembered for his mouth, his gift of the gab. He had the ability to talk to anybody. He could respond to any reaction from the press. He was fantastic with words. I just want to tell you a true story just to get you in the right frame of mind. West coast of America, Ali had won a big fight. I mean, a big fight. And when you win a big fight, you get these big belts, don't you? The great big chunky belts. And there was Ali. He'd won this fight. He needed to catch a jumbo jet to get him home. But Ali was the kind of guy who could hire 2 rows in the first-class compartment. And that's what he did. He hired 2 complete rows. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a first-class compartment, but they're fairly luxurious. Having 2 rows is the business. There was Ali, sprawled on about 2 of these seats, with his belt on, of course, feeling, and he was a very confident man, he was feeling very confident, very sure. The plane was just cruising along the runway. The captain's announcement came along. It was about to take its position on the takeoff runway of this plane. And the stewardess walked alongside Ali. "Mr. Ali," she said. She was from America, you see. "Mr. Ali, would you please put your seatbelt on?" Which is a fair request. She's doing her job. Ali, like any other passenger, should wear his seatbelt. But she'd met Muhammad Ali. She'd met the man who could respond. Immediately he responded, "Ma'am," he says, "I am Superman. I don't need no seatbelt." Oh, normal mortals would have just fallen backwards and shriveled back into the plane and ignored it totally. But he had met his match that day. He'd met his match. As quickly as she responded, he responded to her, "Mr. Ali, if you're Superman, you don't need no aeroplane." Absolute true story, I've been told. Absolute true story. The connection there today, of any good story, we need a connection. Now, we're dealing today with salespeople, and our experience in sales today is immeasurably large. You are very experienced in what you're doing. We're dealing with supermen, superwomen, and that's really where I want to go today. Okay, so as we can see, we're communicating here really effectively, and we've outlined the 3 V's of communication: visual, verbal, and vocal. And we know that visual communication has just that massive impact more than any of the others. And I'd just like to talk to you about these in a bit more detail. Let's go back to the very early 1950s. Very early 1950s, about 53, I believe. 2 young lads robbing a warehouse. These lads were fairly new to this robbing game because a bobby soon got onto their tail. The bobby chased these 2 young guys. Anyone know the story? Chased these 2 young guys up these stairs in this warehouse onto the top floor of a warehouse in the East End of London. This was before the East End of London and the warehouse community became quite rife. This is when warehouses were dark, dingy, and it was a very wet night. The policeman cornered these 2 young guys. The one young guy had a gun. His name was Chris. His accomplice, his name was Derek, Mr. Bentley. We've heard the story? It continued on that the copper was shot dead as it happened. The 2 chaps were caught. They went to the prison, they went to court, and they had to defend themselves. Derek Bentley was the only one who was over 16. The other chap was actually underage, and it was the other chap that shot the policeman. Now, the defence argued that Derek said to his accomplice, "Let him have it." They were the key words, weren't they? Let him have it. Now, the defence argued that meant give the policeman the gun. The prosecution argued, successfully as it happened, that they felt that those words meant, let him have it, just like the old Wild West movies. And of course, let him have it meant, shoot the copper. Bang! Derek was hung as a result of those words being misinterpreted. Doesn't it just show you that words themselves, just isolated, have a very little meaning? Moving away from the words, let's have a look at the vocal side of things, how you say things. They have a massive impact on the message of a communication. Gambit number 2, you'll love. You'll love this one. It's so simple. And I use it all the time, and it really embarrasses my wife. It's called the visual flinch. When somebody gives you a price for something, you say, "How much?" goodness gracious me, as loud as you can, with as much emphasis as possible. And I'll tell you what, they quiver in the knees. Oh, well, okay, maybe not 6, maybe 400 or 500 pounds. It worked this morning, if anyone remembers me doing it. So that's called the visual flinch. That's number 2.